Yeah,
Hey,
man. Thank you so much for taking the time out to come educate us on this matter. And anyone else is listening, or you can educate them on the do's and the don'ts. So you can just briefly give them a rundown, a synopsis of who you are and your profession, etc.
sure. So I'm
This is
an immigration
interesting.
attorney. I have a Jamaican background. My parents are from Jamaica. But as you can tell from my voice, I'm from the United States. I was born and raised here, but I've been representing people from the West Indies,
Wow.
as well as from other parts of the world for over 10 years now. I might be going on longer than that. I know I've been at least in business with myself for 10 years, but been practicing much longer than that. And just mostly my focus has been on immigration. I do some estate work as well as some property work, but a lot of it's been in immigration. And unfortunately, especially when it's come to certain West Indians I've been representing when they've been in prison, a good portion of that has been with criminal immigration. So that's
Wow.
sort of just how I've made my living.
Interesting.
Is the name Michelle Laird, or how do you pronounce the last name?
Sure, sure. It's Mitchell Laird.
Okay,
Oh,
Laird.
Mitchell,
Yeah,
like
there's not a
Okay.
lot of Lairds in Jamaica, so whenever we
Right,
Mitchell
right,
meet
right,
one, you
Laird.
know it's one of
right,
ours.
right. So you have represented um um people from the West Indies in immigration matters.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay, so I think you're the perfect person that I want to
Perfect.
talk to about the
Oh, yeah.
situation. So I'm not sure if you looked into the situation of Ivany, right? I just read
Yeah, yeah,
just now
yeah,
about it.
unfortunately.
So where do we go from here?
So why don't we look at this from the way that a lawyer or rather a judge looks at a case like this, right? So we can start from looking
So
at
this is for
the first
informational
question everybody
purposes.
always asks is, how do I get out of
The
prison?
artist,
So
Mr.
if you
Vegas,
have
he
somebody
has
that's
this
in prison right
immigration
now
lawyer
with
on
a
his
list of charges
platform
against them,
to
the thing I always
highlight
first
or
look
to
for are
enlighten
how
the
serious are the
viewers of
charges
certain
and is there any
situation,
bail or bond that's
mostly
being
because of
offered.
the scenario
I
with
believe in this
Ivani, where she
case, what
is
we
in
saw
immigration
from
detention
the court
and she's
records
charged
is
for a
that there is
variety
a
of
bail
things.
that's
So
that's been
look, we
offered.
listen to see
I
if
don't know
we
if it's
can
been satisfied yet, but it looks like
hear
it's
what's
somewhere
going
around
on.
$2,000, about two
It's
thousand
it's
one hundred dollars.
it's I think $1,050.
Yeah, I didn't know if there were two different parts
Right.
to that bail because they
Because
said
I've
total
actually
bail.
seen one for 500 as well.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah. So, but whatever it is, whatever the amount is, then you know that if someone posts bail, they're allowed to get out of prison. The problem that we have here is that most likely immigration has already been notified, and immigration will put on you what's called a detainer. So while you're in prison, you're being held by the state of Georgia, right? So in the United
Wow.
States, the states are different than the federal government. So the
Mm,
state of Georgia is holding you in their prison. They're paying for your meals. Hopefully, they're paying for your medical care and a bed. I'd like to say heat, but I've been in a lot of prisons. There's no heat in there. So you're there. They're holding her at the expense of the Georgia taxpayer. When you come with bail, they're more than happy to let you go because they don't want to spend that money anymore. But immigration will put a
interesting.
detainer on you. And now a detainer says, hey, when you're ready to let her go, give us a phone call and then hold on to her for a little bit. We'll come pick her up.
Wow.
And so they'll hold on to her until immigration gets a chance to swing around, and then they'll pick her up and bring her to immigration prison instead. Immigration detention is what we call it.
Wow. So
And when
that's
we
what's
say
going.
prison, we're saying jail because
So
she's
that's
not in
what's
prison,
going
as it,
on with
right?
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
Ivani.
But
It
My
right,
is
apologies.
interesting
Yeah.
right,
because I
right,
didn't
right.
really understand the whole
But
situation of
based on
how
the
it is
charges, though,
playing out.
terroristic
So
threats and
basically,
acts.
they're holding on to her
Let's say
so that
immigration
immigration
does
can
not
pick
pick her
her
up.
up.
Right,
What are we looking at here? Terroristic threats and acts. How serious is this?
So these are explanations
So
of the
by
different
itself,
charges,
it
and
may
the
not be
lawyer's
that
gonna
serious. A
explain
lot of
these
these
things.
charges are what we call misdemeanors. Depending on what facts they bring against her, I'm sure everyone already knows the facts because it's all been broadcasted over the internet. But it's up to the prosecutor to decide which things he's allowed to actually bring into court. So, depending which acts he actually brings into his charging document, into the document that says all of the things that he believes that she did, that'll determine how immigration reacts. So even though it may be a misdemeanor in state court, depending on how it's put into the actual courthouse and how it's handled by the judge, immigration may react completely differently. And they may determine that, in fact, she is what we would call, say, an aggravated felon. They could determine that she is has committed a crime involving moral turpitude. And I really think that those are the two biggest concerns that someone in her position would have is it one of these elevated offenses? One is called aggravated felons. The other one is called crime involving moral turpitude. And if you fall into either category, then you could be looking at almost a guaranteed deportation.
Right.
If you don't
Right.
fall into either category, then you're looking at a deportation, but there's a lot of ways still available to save you before you get deported.
Wow.
Would our legal issues in Jamaica play a role in that decision?
Yeah, absolutely. When we're talking about aggravated felonies, not so much. When we're talking about crimes involving moral turpitude, and please forgive me for all the legal phrases, if they don't make sense, they don't make sense to most judges either. Everyone's been figuring this stuff out as they go along. But when it comes to crimes involving moral turpitude, same thing, except that it does a little bit. They are allowed to take into account what activities you did overseas, as long as those activities have led to a conviction. You know, in some instances, it may not even need a conviction. If it just involves drug use, for instance, they're allowed to take that into account. But even if you ignore all of that, when you're dealing with human beings, a judge is a human being, right? We look up to them, but they're a human being. The prosecutor is a human being. When they've seen what you've done, they're going to treat you differently, right? They're going to do their best to be as neutral as possible when they're making their decision. But if you did something that's really offensive to them, it's going to affect the way that they make their decision. So if you did something that was offensive in your home country, a lot of them have what's called discretion, and that's the legal ability to look at your case and just say, I don't really like what you did. I don't like you as a person. I don't think you'd be a good fit for the United States. There's limitations to that, but I've seen it happen a lot of times where people just didn't have a good past, and it affected them after they came to the United States.
Record. That's why they do
The fact that she has a young child, yeah?
police record
How
from
would
Jamaica.
you
Yeah,
pursue
that's
this
why
matter
they
if
do
you
all of
were
that. Let's
her
continue
lawyer?
to listen some
If
more
you can
to
speak on
what the
that.
lawyer has to
Yeah,
say
so
about the
whenever you have
situation.
someone with a kid, it's always difficult for everybody because you don't want the child to be harmed by whatever the parent did. It's not the kid's fault. And a child, no matter what the personality of the parent, is always going to be looking towards their mother to be around. In that situation, I personally would always emphasize the fact that she has a young baby that shouldn't be pulled from her because there's a lot of benefits that children may get, whether from nursing or just from being close towards their parent within those first few months, even the early years of life. That could gain us some sympathy to at least delay what's coming if we don't have any actual form of relief available. Relief just means a means of staying in the country when they're trying to kick you out. But I know what hurts against it is that if you have another parent available who is considered responsible, who has status in the United States, whether it be a green card or citizenship, then that only makes, it makes the balance a little bit more difficult. And I've had that a number of times where someone told me, well, the father's here. And that's, typically it's the prosecutor, what we call the trial attorney. They're always going to say, well, the father's here, the father's fully available, and it looks like the father has custody. And especially if the father has custody, that makes it even more difficult to try and make an argument to the judge that, hey, she deserves a little bit of mercy because this baby at least needs her for now to be weaned off of her.
She need to be nursing.
Well, what if her child's father dropped the charges? Can he pull these charges since they were I think they were recorded on the internet?
Yeah, that's one of the fictions, I'm going to call it, that comes from watching TV a lot. Whenever we see it, is they always say, oh, do you want to press charges? What really happens in real life is they may ask you, do you want to press charges? And what they mean by that is if you're not too offended and the cops don't think it's that serious, they may let the whole thing go. It saves them paperwork. It saves you
Okay,
being
so you can
prosecuted,
let
and
it
it makes
go.
everybody happy if we're all willing to go our separate ways
Mm.
and not do whatever we did wrong again. But it doesn't actually happen if the prosecutor or the police officer just decides that they didn't like what you did. So by that I mean if you walk up to an old lady on the street and say you punch her in the face, if she says no, I won't press charges, the cop's probably still going to arrest you because he's saying I don't care. That really offended me. And that's because the legal standard isn't does the person press charges. It has nothing to do with the victim. The way the law is written is that it says you committed a crime against the government. You committed a crime against the state. If you're in England, they say that you committed a crime against the crown, because in reality is that the law was created to protect order for the state, for the government, for the crown, whoever it is. It wasn't made to protect the victim, believe it or not, which sounds
Wow,
horrible, but
that's very
that's how the Supreme
interesting.
Court has even put it before.
Mm-mm.
And so it's not really up to him to pull these charges back.
Oh,
Wow.
The only
wow.
person who really has that power is going to be the prosecutor. It's going to be the
Prosecutor.
DA's
Wow.
office. The police officers have a little bit of influence, but even after they make the arrest, it's out of their hands too.
Oh,
Wow.
wow. So it's the
Wow.
prosecutor. Wow, this is
Um,
interesting. Same thing me I
quick
say to
question. What if someone
Phoebe. Wow.
that got their green card through the asylum program, yeah,
Yeah.
sends threat to a U.S. citizen or a U.S. resident or anyone,
Mm.
I guess, that can press charges? How how can it negatively impact that person?
Yeah. So first, obviously, like you said already, but it
As
doesn't
a
matter
green,
if
even
they're
if
a
the person
citizen.
has a green card, in this
Yeah.
case,
Yeah.
like one another social media influencer, her name is Prettidon. How
Yeah.
would she? How will this impact her if if she should send threat to someone, even if she gets the privilege to a green card or so forth through the asylum program?
Right. So, obviously, just so everyone's
Pretty done
clear, it doesn't
involved.
matter who the victim is. It could be a citizen, green card holder. It could even be someone who's in the U.S. without any papers at all. What they care about is the crime, not the actual, sorry, not the actual, uh, sorry, victim who's been involved inside the crime. My apologies. Am I still connected? Because I'm having some technical issues
We
on my
can.
side.
I can hear you. I think everyone can hear you. We're just not seeing you, but we can hear you clearly.
Oh, okay. All right. I thought that was just me. So
Right.
I'll have to figure that out because I can't see you anymore either, but it's all right. As long as everyone's okay
Right.
with my
Yeah,
voice,
we're
Right.
then I'll
here.
keep going.
Yeah, man.
Um, so what happens if it's actually been a crime that's been committed while specifically if you're doing it through asylum. They have slightly different standards after you get a green card through asylum than you did if you just simply had a green card. We don't have to go through all of it right now, but just the basic idea that people have to worry about is if it's a threat, if it's considered a terroristic threat, which each state defines differently. So don't get caught up on the wording. But if it's a serious threat that's been made against somebody, then it can be brought against you for charges. If it is brought to you with charges, then they are allowed to try and bring you to court to take away your green card. There are a number of ways that you can protect
Wow.
yourself and save yourself if that does happen, but you never want to put yourself in that situation. Um, the reason why it makes it hard to interpret is because there are 50 states in America. There's also Puerto Rico, there's Guam, etc. And each one of these places have their own laws on committing threats over the internet. And each one of these laws have different levels of how strict they are. And
Mm-mm.
immigration has to translate all of them differently. And so, uh, obviously, immigration doesn't have the time to go through thousands and thousands of laws for each state. So they do it on a case by case basis. So we've had over maybe 40, 50 years of these laws being on the books. And we can't say for certain what is a serious enough crime to have you kicked out depending on what you've been arrested for.
Right.
Some of them obviously we know for certain, but others we don't actually know. So when you're throwing out threats, there's some gray area there. All crimes involving threats are strong enough if they want to try and throw you into court. But in some states, they may even be stricter than that and could lead you to a more serious offense on the immigration portion of everything.
Mm.
I have another friend, another brethren. I think he has some legal issues as well. His name is Foota. He has some legal issues.
Oh my God.
Um,
I'm sorry to
I
laugh.
think he married to someone and the person abandoned him while he was out the country. And he was held by ICE. I'm not sure if you got a chance to look at that case or that situation. What's out there in the media. So
Yeah, I'd heard about it.
he's a strong advocate against certain immorality. How far can he push the envelope to jeopardize his chance of staying in the US?
So, without putting people into a box, but essentially, when you come back into the United States and you say your marriage case or whatever case you had going fell through, you are allowed to start another case if you want to. You are allowed to start another marriage case if you have a true marriage. You are allowed to work on a divorce case depending on what stage you're at. You are allowed, if you were abused in your initial relationship, you're allowed to do what a lot of people call abandonment or abuse. We call it VAWA. So all those are options available for you. But the same problem as we had before with Ivany is that if you're still dealing with human beings and your application, no matter what, even if you don't have crimes against you, your application to get a green card is based off of you being a good enough person to get it. And that doesn't mean, oh, I haven't committed felonies or, oh, I've never punched an old lady, because many of those people have gotten green cards. That's not what they mean. They mean that in my discretion, when I'm done talking to you, when I'm done looking at all the things that you've done, all the things that you've said, I think you'd be a good next door neighbor to have, right? And many people have committed some pretty serious crimes. When I bring them into that interview room and the officer meets them, he says, you know what, this is actually a good dude. This guy has been taking all the wrong paths in life, but I see he's changed. He's actually a really good gentleman. He's a wonderful father. I can't tell you how many Jamaicans I've gotten off. A bunch I gotten out of prison for some serious crimes, just because they're phenomenal fathers.
Very interesting.
Like they are just
guys.
really, really good dads,
So all those
able to
persons
raise
who
their
are
kids,
pending
able
case and
to,
don't have
they're
a
at
lawyer,
school every
this
day.
is a
They're
really
chatting with the
interesting
teachers even
program
while
for
they're
you
in
to
prison,
listen to.
keeping up on the schoolwork. That just impresses people in the United States. And they're willing to
And
forgive
I
a
guess if
lot
you don't want to
if you
contact the
show that you're a
lawyer,
good
you
enough
can just
person.
go ahead and
But if you're
I
putting
think it's
stuff
Leah
online and it's
contact
your
City.
worst side or it's your aggressive side, then that type of stuff can come back to bite you. Because now someone is judging you as their next door neighbor based off of that before you even come in to say a single word to them. And that's who they see you as a person. And that's where it gets dangerous, because a lot of the things you do online are to get attention. It's to get likes, it's to get clicks.
Wow.
Sometimes you're just feeling angry, so you want to vent. And so as a result, people aren't seeing the best side of you at all times. They might be seeing the worst side of you, but that's your most popular video. So that's all anyone's going to think of you when they go and look you up later on. And immigration does look at your social media. Immigration looks at your social media when you come in the country. We've known tons of people who've been sent back because they were messaging on Facebook how they were going to work for each other. Immigration looks at your social media when you apply for a green card, when you apply for citizenship. They just want to see what are you presenting to the rest of the world. I know you're going to present someone good to me, but what are you presenting to real people out there?
So if you had a message for, like, I just pointed out two persons, Prettidon and like Foota. What would you say to them if they were your clients trying to get their legal stay or have gotten their legal stay? What advice would you give them when it comes on to social media? Because this is I'm piggybacking off what happened to Ivany based on terroristic threat. Yeah?
Yeah.
Or just moral turpitude, yeah? What
Yeah.
would you say to them if you were representing them
All right. This
to
is a
get their
message
legal
from the
stay
lawyer
in the
to
US?
these
More so like Foota, because
to Foota
he's a
Eye.
great brother. So what would you like?
He's
What
an
advice would you give him?
So I'd have to level with everybody, right?
all
Is
right.
that
I'm gonna
I know
listen
your
to this.
internet presence is how you make your bread. I know that's how you present yourself to the world, how you promote yourself, and that's very important. But at a certain point, you got to start cleaning up what you put on the internet. And I'm not familiar with everything he's put out, so I'm sure he's got loads of good. It's unfortunately is the stuff that gets shared the most, and the things that get shared with me the most are obviously going to be the ones with the strongest and most controversial opinions. That's just how it is. And so for the time being, until we get to clean up your status, the best thing to do is to not put out as many of those videos as you can, to pull back from any of the controversial stuff.
Wow. You hear
That
that?
can be hard for people who built their whole personality on
Pull
that,
back
or
from
people who, that's
controversy.
just who they are. They like to get into controversial topics, but it can get very dangerous when those are your most popular videos. That's what, because when immigration Googles your name, that's going to be the first thing that pops up. They don't even have to look. It's not going to be
They
the good
sure
video
Google
where you're
you.
doing a good deed, or where
They
you're
Google
singing an
you.
awesome song, or where you're doing a dance routine with a bunch of kids. It's going to be the video where you're mouthing off at somebody else. It's going to be the video where you're talking down to somebody who was insulting you. And that's what they're going to see. And this isn't just for them, this is for everybody. I tell all
Everybody.
my clients, keep your head down. Try and stay off of social media. If your job involves social media, then do it, but keep it as positive as you possibly can.
Oh yeah.
Comment on other people's streams, but don't comment on your own, because you don't want that coming up in a Google search later.
Wow. Wow.
Wow. That's interesting.
Listen, I cannot thank you enough for this lesson. I'm looking forward to speak to you further on the Ivany situation. I'm really rooting for her. Hopefully she will get some assistance, and I'm not sure if you can take on the matter, or if you can advise how it's supposed to be
She can
done,
do
or
pro
going
bono if
forward,
they not have
or,
no
or
money.
attorneys can move forward. But I'm hoping for the best for her. So thank you so much for your time. Looking forward to speaking to
Oh
you
my
again.
God.
No problem. And my
Right.
apologies about the camera. I
No,
don't
no,
I
you're
don't know
good,
what
you're good, you're
happened with
good.
Instagram.
And just for people who are interested in your service, 'cause there are so many people in the US that
That don't
have
have no
immigration
lawyer.
issues. How can they contact you? Your name of your company, or your social media page or
Sure.
pages.
No, I appreciate that. So we're Laird Law. You can find us here on Instagram. I'm also on Facebook, Laird Law. I try and do a show about every Thursday where I update people on things on Facebook just
Laird
involving
Law.
immigration, or
Okay.
just to teach people a little bit about things that I've gotten as questions. You can always send me a message if you have a question. Send it to me on Instagram, on Facebook, where I'm happy to get back to you with an answer. If you want
He
me to
said me
do a full
can't
show
find
on
it. Laird
something,
Law.
same thing. I'll always schedule that on Facebook based off of questions I get. You can also find us at Laird Law, so that's LAIRD law.org. So it's LAIRD law.org is the website, which has all our information. The name on Facebook and Instagram is the same thing, LAIRD LAW.
Oh,
Our
this was
phone
it. Oh wow. What happened? Too much information must I give out. Layered law, that's what it is. Let me put this up here. Um, so this is it. This is the Instagram. Layered law. This is the lawyer who was talking. Let me see if I can find the name. Layered law. We can't find the name. Well, it's Lairdlaw. Hmm, I'm trying to find the name of it, but it's not coming up. So it is Law. So this is an immigration lawyer that Mr. Vegas was talking to. So if you have any questions or whatever he say, you can send him a message on Instagram. Okay. Laird Law. So that was a very interesting topic. Very, very interesting topic. And I can safely say a lot of times you see people talking about situation, but there's really no concrete assistance. So this was a very good thing that Mr. Vegas did. You understand? So for those persons who were listening, because I think it got cut off. For those persons who were listening, this is an immigration lawyer who was sharing some things regarding the Ivany case and some things regarding persons who have controversial YouTube channel or controversial topics that they speak about, and some advice of how they should proceed, especially if they don't have their paperwork yet. So like he was saying, like the controversial topics, go ahead. If you're giving, don't give any opinions regarding to that. I'm just putting it in my way. Be careful of how you attack those controversial topics. Basically, I'm thinking he's saying to pull back. He literally said pull back from controversy. If somebody has something, controversial on their page, if you want to comment on it, fine, but do not be commenting on your own page, because once they Google you, that's what they'll find. That's what the immigration or any other entity, any other body, if they want to do research on you, they just Google your name and they will see you, right? If you're an important person and you don't have anything like where you can hide your information, especially if you're a public servant, once they Google your name, they will see everything about you. So this was very good. It was very, very informative. And he said he does shows on Facebook as well. So it is Laird Law, Lairdlaw. And as I said, this was very informative, because I learned some things that I didn't know before. I sure did. I hear some things I did not know before. So let me see if I can read this. So basically, with regarding to the Ivany case, he was saying, based on the fact that another parent or the parent is here, they could try to lobby that situation by, tying it to where the infant needs the mother for nurturing, for sure, because based on what research said, a child who is breastfed and nurtured in that way tend to be, I want to say the wrong thing, it's beneficial to the child as well as the mother. All right. And then, so that could be something that they could talk about in terms of getting her to stay in the country. But now they're saying, he's also saying the fact that the father is here, and the father, if the father is one of the responsible father, then they can say, well, the child has another parent. All right. So they can also, and when the question was asked, did can the person drop the charges, that part is very technical, because once the police turn in the do what their due diligence, it's the prosecutor. The case is now in the hands of the prosecutor. So it is very, very touchy. So this person, Laird Law, he was on Mr. Vegas live earlier. So I kind of, get that information. because a lot of people I know probably have immigration cases, probably need some questions. He said you can send a message, DM him, and all of that, and you can continue your conversation. But this was very interesting, and I want to say thanks to Subi for putting this together, because as I said, a lot of people has things that they want to say, but so far it's the first situation regarding the Ivany case I've ever seen where it literally looked like we getting some answers, or we can get some answers, or she can get some help. So all the persons who on TikTok who are listening and following and watching her, if they want a good lawyer for her, this would be an ideal individual based on the fact that he's a immigration lawyer. All right. And he said that he has helped a lot of people, a lot of island folks. He has helped a lot of island folks, and the fact that his heritage, like he said, his family is, I think, mother and father are Jamaicans or whatever, something to that effect. But I'm just saying, I hope this can be beneficial, not just to Ivany, but to other persons who are watching this video and who have questions. And he said he do a show on Facebook as well, so you can follow him on Facebook. Hey, listen, follow me on Facebook too. Follow me on YouTube. Me there to promote them and I promote myself. Follow my other videos to see if you can get some more interesting information. Follow me on YouTube. Well, this is YouTube. All right. So yes, this was very, very interesting, and I really like it because I like stuff that's informative. And a lot of times people say things and they are not aware of what legal situation is, or the legalities is. So with that in mind, this was a wonderful, wonderful thing. All right. With that being said, this is 31 minutes in the video. I was gonna do a video and talk about cargo and Prettidon, but Prettidon was mentioned in this video too. So I don't know if when she hear this, what should I go say? But I was watching a video where Prettidon was telling Cargo that she don't want him, and then Cargo clap back at Prettidon. But that's gonna have to be a different video because this is already 32 minutes in. All right. Bless up on yourself. Thank you so much. And once again, big up to Mr. Vegas, aka Subi, for getting this lawyer so that people who need information know where to get it. Because a lot of times people need information and they don't know where to get it. I'm just saying that. So once again, the lawyer is Laird Law, and you can find him on Instagram, Facebook, as well as they have a website. But if you watch the video or you go back and watch the video, you will hear all of them something the way I must say. All right. Bless up on yourself.